President Zelenskyy is also likely to make a pitch to the Chinese delegation ahead of a peace conference in Switzerland this month. Beijing is not attending, saying it doesn't meet its expectations without Russia's participation. CNE's Olivia Siong caught up with Sir John Chipman, the executive chairman of the International Institute for Strategic Studies, and asked him whether Mr Zelenskyy has scheduled any bilateral meetings here in Singapore and on the significance of his in-person visit to the country.
Well, as you recall, 2 years ago, President Zelenskyy, from an undisclosed location in a bunker near Kyiv, addressed the Shangri-La Dialogue by video, famously wearing a T-shirt that had been printed by a 16-year-old girl who wanted to raise money for Ukraine. So that was his first engagement with the Asia-Pacific, and now 2 years later, he's able to be with us in person. And it was his decision to address in person the IISS Shangri-La Dialogue. And I'm certain that the principal reason he's coming at this time is that in a couple of weeks he is hoping to host in Switzerland a peace conference on Ukraine, and he would like to attract as many senior people from the Asia-Pacific to that event as possible.
So did it take much convincing to bring him here in person?
No, he was wanting very much to show that he's able to be here in person. He's traveled a little bit in Europe. Of course, the front lines are very difficult now in Ukraine. Russia has been able to make some advances, especially around Kharkiv. But his number one goal right now is ensuring that there are as many people working hard to work towards the kind of peace that Ukraine could accept at the peace conference in Switzerland.
You briefly greeted him when he arrived at the Shangri-La Hotel. What is your sense from that interaction of how he's going into this very closely watched meeting and all the meetings that he'll be having coming up?
He is coming here with strategic intent. He never wastes a moment, President Zelenskyy. So already today, on Saturday, shortly after his arrival, he will be having some private bilaterals. That will continue tomorrow morning, and we're especially delighted that he will be addressing the Shangri-La Dialogue in the concluding session.
Will President Zelenskyy meet the defense chiefs of China and the US here in Singapore?
Oh, I'm quite certain there are a number of bilaterals scheduled. I'm not privy yet to the schedule of bilaterals, but I'm quite certain that no one will miss the opportunity and that Zelenskyy will make every effort to make himself available to as many people as possible.
But we do know that Russia isn't present at the Shangri-La Dialogue since the Ukraine war began. How much do you think President Zelenskyy's presence here will help move the needle in helping to end this conflict that has gone on for over 2 years now?
Well, the most important point that he will want to make here is to remind people in the global south that Russia is running an imperial war of reconquest. This is an attempt to recolonize Ukraine. Ukraine was an independent country. It was colonized. It was part of the Soviet Union involuntarily. And really, what he's trying to reassert is a reminder to many countries in the global south who are themselves victims of imperialism and colonialism that Ukraine's independence and sovereignty is worth fighting for, and they should understand this conflict as one of imperial reconquest.
What is your personal hope, since you've been instrumental in making this happen? At the end of this weekend, where do you hope to see things lie?
I began in my opening remarks by saying that unfortunately we live in a rules-broken international order. And I said that it was important at least for people to begin working towards a rules-based order in the Asia-Pacific. I hope that point landed, and that in the private bilaterals there will have been advances on many of the sensitive issues that require rules, including things like the Code of Conduct in the South China Sea. But it will be another year's work, and I hope at next year's Shangri-La Dialogue one will have gotten a little bit closer, at least to a rules-based order in the Asia-Pacific.